when I was in film school at UCLA, I'd see all these movies of, the French New Wave and the German New Cinema, and I was like, British Free Cinema, and I was like, and they'd have all these different film movements, and I was like, I want to be part of a movement, and then lo and behold, I was, and it was kind of incredible at one point when I realized, oh my God, I'm part of this thing. And it's funny because I just taught a class that I created on American independent film at UC Santa Barbara. I teach there 1 quarter a year. And it was really interesting going through the history of it with my students and watching these films and explaining to them how they used to be financed and what we used to have to do and how we used to have to make these films. And now, it was very important to be very aggressive about your voice. Very, I think more than now, because I think now it's a little more fluid in a way that it was not then. You really had to be like, no, this is who I am, and we have to do it like this. And that's why a lot of the things you were pointing out really are, things that I was hell-bent on having in there. Now, of course, it's a lot harder to make movies. It's a lot harder to get people out, so I thank God that you're here. It's just, and I don't always want, I'm very grateful for TV. It pays my bills. Thank you, Sex and the City. 4 episodes. Takes care of me all the time. But it's still, it's not yours. If you're just an episodic journeyman, it's not your voice. And even if it's your show, it's still not entirely your voice. So that's a little rough. And not everything's a series. This is not a series, this is a movie, so not everything is that, some things are movies, they're features, some things are short films, but, and some things you can turn into a series, but not everything, not every film can be told like that.
Well, this is kind of echoing, we had Kelly Reichardt here a few weeks ago, and she was also talking about that kind of fight for voice.
Yes.
But one thing I guess I wanted to ask about was that she was talking very much about the role of Todd Solondz and Larry Fessenden as kind of mentors to her at an early stage. And I know that there's also, you worked on Paris, Texas, and you had a relationship to inventors as a mentor.
Absolutely.
I wonder if you could talk about that, if that's something that you see as important from both sides, whether it's something that you now talk to, if you're teaching as part of that impulse as well.
Well, yeah, here's what I think about mentors. I think they're absolutely necessary. I think you can't set out and say, I'm going to be a mentor. The mentee has to find you, and they have to work their ass off to get you. That's how I feel about it, is they have to really, because I did crazy stuff to get Wim Wenders to mentor me, believe you me.
You sent him a mixtape.
Oh, I sent him a whole box of 45s. Yeah, I sent him a mixtape, and later I sent him records, and I sent him a letter a week, and he read every single one of them. And sometimes they were like 20, 30 pages long, and he still has them. He still has them. So, I did crazy stuff. I lied to get a grant to go work on Paris, Texas. And when he came to town, he came to LA, and he says, Allison, it's Vim. I wonder if you can find time to show me your film. I'm coming to LA. And I was like, oh, well, let me see, and I was just like, so he came to UCLA, saw my first movie, which he had, by the way, given me feedback on my script about before I shot it, and while he was there, I said, so I wanted to show you, I won this grant, and he was like, oh, congratulations, and I was like, yeah, it's to study under you on Paris, Texas. And so he got this kind of faraway look in his eyes, and he was like, well, I guess you'll have to come. And I was like, yeah, and my two friends also won the grant. So he had to take all three of us. So, and one was Dean Lent, who shot this. So Dean spent all of his time